That momentum is as good as the next day's starting pitcher, and they were shut out by the other guy's starting pitcher, David Wells, last night. They're underway here at Fenway as Martinez to Soriano, and he fouls it back.
Well, one thing that the Yankee hitters normally do, except for Soriano and maybe Jeter, they're pretty patient at the plate. They make Pedro work. He throws a lot of pitches to get the job done, and they feel they'll have a chance in the late innings if they can make him throw a lot of pitches early. But Soriano and Jeter, they're hackers. They go up there swinging, and they're probably the only two. But when you get down to Giambi, Williams, Ventura, Posada, all those guys are pretty patient hitters.
So Pedro quickly ahead of the first hitter in the game, 0-2. Not long ago, he struck out 7 straight in a game. Soriano gets his bat on it. And for the Red Sox, Hillenbrand doesn't get his glove on it. And Soriano now sees it. It's rolled against the tarp, and he's going to dive into second base. So an 0-2 little, oh, by the way, chopper. And the Red Sox defense, which has not been airtight of late, as they played below 500 ball this month. And you see that that's the case. Hillenbrand just, what happened here, Joe?
Well, what happened was he got a late start. He hesitated a second, then he decided I better try to come in and get it on the short hop because Soriano runs well. But the ball bounces away, and then Soriano, who was trying to beat out the ground ball, ran straight through the bag. He realized the ball had gotten away, so he hustles down to second base. But speed caused that indirectly because he decided I have to go get it or else I'm going to have a tough play with Soriano.
So Soriano at second, and Jeter is up. Lays down the bunt, and Hillenbrand won't make this play either. So a little error and small ball for the Yankees, and runners are at the corners against Pedro. And you know what? You know you're not going to get many runs against Pedro, so can't be surprised that the bunt was laid down.
No, you can't ever be surprised in this game. You can't let that happen. You have to be playing in. I mean, he almost squares around. Hillenbrand was just too deep. And you see where he starts. He's got to be on the edge of the grass to start with, because Jeter's going to hit the ball to the right side if he doesn't bunt. He's not going to pull the ball. He's going to try to advance Soriano. So you play in tight to take the bunt away from him and force him to hit the ball the other way. That was just defensive. The way they had the defensive lineman wasn't correct there.
So they certainly haven't solved the Pedro, but the Yankees in business, and 100 RBI man Jason Giambi, he of the 32 homers, steps to the plate. In there for a strike, says Hunter Wendelstedt, home-plate umpire. Jerry Lane, the ump at first. Scott Packard at second. Ed Montague is at third tonight. Ground ball. This Nomar, a tough tournament against Giambi, could take his time. Soriano does score. No RBI in the double play, but the Yankees get a run. Knowing it was Giambi, he could take his time on the move at second.
And Pedro gets the best thing he can possibly hope for here, is to get the ground ball from Giambi and allow the run to score, but you'll take 2 outs anytime and allow the run to score when you're in that type of trouble. No outs, runners at first and third. So Pedro gets what he needs, and the Yankees get what they need indirectly. They get a run, and they get off to a good start against Pedro.
So the double play wipes the bases, and here's Bernie Williams, who has an 18-game hitting streak coming into the game. Way to Bernie.
It was interesting. The first 10 games of this hitting streak, I mean, he had multiple hit games. I mean, he had 4 hits. He had like 10 straight hits, if I remember right, 9 or 10 straight hits at one point.
Well, he was outrageous. I mean, he reached safely, Joe, in 13 straight plate appearances. And the record is 16. And any run off Pedro in the first inning is unheard of, as you can see. Now, it's hardly he was cuffed around.
Right, there's nothing he could do about that one.
No.
Interesting how he's pitching Bernie Williams. He's thrown him 3 straight changeups, and all of them have been the changeup that's moving away. He starts it at the middle of the plate and lets it move outside, and so far Bernie's been able to lay off. But I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Torre doesn't let him swing if he gets the fastball here 3-0. And he got the fastball and he fouled it back. One thing I've learned about Joe Torre in the past, you know, Joe was a hitter. So Joe realizes if a guy throws you like 3 straight changeups, you know that he's not wanting to throw you the fastball in the strike zone. So you let your hitter go 3-0 because he's going to, if he gets the fastball, make him pay for it. Bernie fouled it back.
Going the other way. Nomar, he fumbles it. Now has to throw, and he's safe.
Well,
how many outs is he going to have to get, Joe?
I guess they feel Pedro's so good that they do not have to help him there. That ball, I mean, it's a line drive, but it's in the big leagues. You should catch that ball, so that should be an error as well. I don't know how they're going to score it, but it definitely should be an error. It's a line drive, and it gets to Garcia Parra in the air. See, I mean, he just, I don't know, he thought he had it. He looked down, he doesn't have it. And they do call it an error. I mean, sometimes they'll give you a base hit on that, but that should have been an error.
Nomar has been in a fielding slump. He's made and there it is. Right on cue from David Corris in the truck. That's certainly uncharacteristic, Joe, except not this year.
It's interesting. I mean, we talked about how different Pedro is pitching this year. I mean, all of a sudden now he's thrown 2 straight changeup to Ventura as well. You know, that's unheard of the Pedro in the past. I mean, one of those pitches would have been a fastball, and he would have tried to overpower it. But now he's trying to make better pitches and trying to get the hitters to help him out. Another changeup. That's 3 straight changeups, and Pedro wants to know where that pitch was.
So do you assume it's the same thing as we did with Bernie?
Exactly. I agree. I think it's the same situation. If you're Joe Torre, you say if you get the fastball, go ahead and hit one. Well, Ventura took his, but I'm guaranteed he was able to hit. If you let a guy hit 3-0 with no one on base, surely you're going to let him hit 3-0 with a runner at first. And a runner with speed, because if he hits it in the gap, he can score.
Well, or apparently if he hits it at any Red Sox, the Yankees are in business, Joe. Well, this one is to the gap. And there goes Bernie as the ball plunks in. Trot Nixon is up with it. And he's being held as Williams by third base coach Willie Randolph, although they had thoughts of sending him home.
I actually thought they were going to send him as well. But they handled the ball pretty well in the outfield and got it back in quickly. This ball's not hit as hard as I thought. He kind of jams him a little bit, but he finds the gap in right center. See, it's more of a blooper. Good play by Nixon Trot to get the ball back in quickly. And I still think they had a shot at trying to score.
Yep.
Bernie Williams, and especially with 2 outs.
Well, Willie Randolph was halfway down the line, Joe, before he told Bernie to hold it there.
Well, you put the runner in motion, and that's the reason you put him in motion, so he can score on a long base hit, whether it be an extra base hit in the gap or, you know, long single as we see here. But they decided not to, and, you know, they have Posada coming up. So this Yankee lineup is pretty tough. I mean, right down through the last hitter.
Look, Pedro is brutal on everyone, but more than anybody else, he is handled of the Yankee starters, Jorge Posada.
Well, you see his pattern is changeups and curveballs to Posada. Posada knows that, so he threw him a curveball first pitch, and he swung at it, even though it was out of the strike zone.
Jorge is 4 for 37 lifetime against Pedro. By the way, he's probably not alone in that, but
no.
But he's also struck out 25 times in those 37 at-bats, Joe. Make it 26. So a real strange inning. Pedro Martinez was on. His fielders weren't. The Yankees have played it a run. Well, the Red Sox making 2 errors behind Pedro Martinez, enabling the Yankees to get a run off their ace. And now they're trying to do something about it at the plate. Our Jiffy Lube lineup for manager Grady Little. Johnny Damon, of course, leading it off. Hillenbrand second, Garcia Parra third, and just as Bernie Williams has been red hot, so has Manny Ramirez, who as recently as Monday night, Joe, went 5 for 5.
Well, I mean, he's one of my favorite hitters to watch. He just makes adjustments pitch after pitch, and he is the guy, I think, that solidifies this lineup. You know, Garcia Parra is a great hitter, but this guy's right in the middle of everything.
You see the DH tonight is Carlos Baerga, who has been one of the best pinch hitters in the American League. He's getting a chance to whack against Mike Mussina. You've seen him often in his career, and there is Moose Mussina, who, as a Yankee, is hooking up against Pedro for the 4th time. And there you see some of the numbers for Mussina, but he does win, Joe. 15 wins. I mean, any pitcher would say, okay, you're 15-7 on August 28th. Would you take the season? Yeah, you would.
Yes, you would. I mean, and look, the starting pitcher's job is to win ball games, not to have a great earned run average. His job is to win the game. I mean, it helps you if you have both, but you send a guy out there to win the ball game.
However, that being said, as you look inside the numbers of Mike Mussina,
they've scored a lot of runs for him.
Yeah, well, you can also say that. Damon waves at that one, but here's what Mussina is looking at. Since the All-Star game, he just set it up. He's 3-4 with 5.88 ERA. His last 5 starts, Joe, 2-3. 7.14 ERA. So we talked about at the beginning, at what point is there real concern? You know, if everything goes to plan, i.e. we have a settlement, and as Greg, with you and I both in our gut feel that they will, and there you see the last 5 starts, and Mussina will have, what, 5 or 6 starts left? I mean, there's time to change things around, especially with a guy like this. But at what point do you really go to work on something, Joe, if he struggles again tonight?
Well, I think he's working on things, in the bullpen. But you know what pitching is like hitting? It's confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And the confidence of knowing that I can throw this pitch where I want it, when I want it, and that's the difference. And I don't think right now he's getting a lot of pitches up normally.
Over Mussina's glove, Soriano with a quick release on the speedy Damon, and the Yankees defense sparkling. And that's why there's 1 up and 1 down.
Well, let's take a look at the defense behind Mussina. We just saw Soriano make a great play, but Raul Mondesi in right field has been a big addition to this ball club, especially when you play in Yankee Stadium. It's very difficult to score from second base on a single in Yankee Stadium with Raul Mondesi in the outfield. And you see last year he led the major leagues with 18. They're not running as much on him now because of the short porch in right field.
Shea Hillenbrand, the all-star, who opened up Joe Torre's eyes. I mean, he was selected by Torre to the team, but about the team he's hit best against is the Yankees. And early, the Yankees were in here for a 4-game set in April and a 4-game set in May, which Boston did very well. And one of the most impressed guys in the yard was Joe Torre. One of the reasons Hillenbrand, and rightly so, made the All-Star team. Seems like a long time ago, those April series, even the All-Star game.
Because I was here in April, one of those series, and it does seem like a long time ago. But the one good thing with Hillenbrand is he has adjusted. Last year he got off to a great start, and he finished very poorly. He didn't hit well the second half. This year he's been able to sustain his first half start.
Well, he gets fishing there against Mussina, so 2 up, 2 down against the Moose.
Well, this is a breaking ball, a great 0-2 pitch off the plate, outside. And, I mean, there's nothing you can do with it. Even if you hit it, you're just going to hit a little dribbler someplace. And the one thing to watch for in this ball game is when you watch Mussina, very rarely does he pitch the right-handed hitters inside. You know, you were talking about when do you make adjustments. Well, I think that's one thing that the other hitters around this league know, that he does not pitch right-handed hitters inside that often. I mean, even here, look where the setup is. He threw all 3 pitches to Hillenbrand were outside. I mean, that's basically the way he pitches. And what happens if you're a good hitter and you see a guy doing that all the time, you just give up the inside and you go to the outside.
0-1 to Garcia Parra, hits it to right center field. Bernie Williams calling Mondesi off. He makes the play and then hands Monty the ball. Okay, you give it to the coach. 1-0 Yankees after 1. Chris Berman, Joe Morgan with you here at Fenway Park. The faithful, quiet. I mean, it is the Yankees, and it's much anticipated. It's their 10th and final visit in here to Fenway this year. Two teams will play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in New York, finishing out their 19-game series. And really, as Raul Mondesi faces Pedro, and the count is 1-1. The Red Sox have played the Yankees very tough. I mean, if it's head-to-head, the Red Sox have won 8, the Yankees have won 7. Boston winning 3 out of 4 in that April series we talked about, and splitting here in late May and then going to Yankee Stadium and taking 2 out of 3. So Boston had the upper hand. But really, if you're looking back at the season, and I'm not going to say, Joe, an 8-game lead for the Yankees. Let's look at 2 games. But in July, the Red Sox came from way back in 2 of the 3 games in a series and lost a pair of 9-8 heartbreakers to the Yankees. And it was right after the All-Star break, and just those were just a couple of games when the Yankees started to reassert themselves and be the Yankees.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that the Boston has played them tough. And, I mean, they aim for the Yankees, of course, every time they play them because they know the Yankees are the team to beat. But you know, the Yankees are just a little bit more fundamentally sound. They're not afraid of their bullpen. Even with Rivera out, they've been able to, you know, make do. And I think that's where the Sox have been lacking. Their bullpen has not been as dominant as they would like. And after the first 2 starters, meaning Derek Lowe and Pedro Martinez, it's been a struggle. So, I mean, that's a tough thing, you know, to have to handle when you're chasing a team like the Yankees. And one other point, I want to make sure we don't forget what happened in the first inning. The fact that the Yankees still only scored 1 run, but they forced Martinez to have to throw 15, 20 extra pitches in that inning, and that catches up with you as the game goes along.
Ripped by Raul Mondesi to left field for a base hit. Manny Ramirez up with it. It's the 3rd hit for the Yankees, and between innings, they came off the field. This is Trot Nixon. You don't think they're aiming for the Yankees, Joe? He's pounding. It's like Khrushchev with a shoe in the United Nations.
Only you could come up with that analogy.
Trot Nixon and Khrushchev have not really been compared that much lately. And anybody under 50 doesn't know what the heck I'm talking about. But,
well, I know what you're talking about.
He made a mess of you in Khrushchev with those shoes. Here's Shane Spencer. Here's the whirly bird by Pedro. As we watch Pedro, and this is, I mean, people do follow every one of his starts, just baseball fans, like you do when Schilling or Johnson pitch. But Joe, this is a different Pedro Martinez. Not the results now, but a guy that's pitching differently for a few reasons this year. Oh, yes, he can bring it up there. And that will, look at this. This gets away from Dahlback, and Mondesi will go to second. Joe, did anyone bring a glove? Maybe they're playing with Khrushchev shoes out there.
I have to tell you.
What the heck is going on?
This is unusual. I mean, the throw is there, and he just misses it. He's trying to tag him as he makes the catch. And obviously, he couldn't get both. See, the ball is right there. Man. He's trying to catch it and tag him at the same time, and the ball gets away.
Well, I got to think that's an error, Joe.
Well, it has to be.
I know they haven't put. Yes,
yeah, it is. E3.
So look where we are. Okay, there's none out in the 2nd inning, and Boston's made 3 errors, and really it's around the horn.
Yeah.
3rd, short, and 1st. So Ray Sanchez, be careful.
Yeah. But what I'm seeing from Pedro, I've watched. All right, we've gone. This is the 8th hitter he's faced in this ball game.
So 29 pitches now already.
But he has not started any of these 8 hitters off with a fastball. Every pitch has been either a curveball or a changeup.
Well,
that's not Pedro.
That's right. Well,
that's not the Pedro that we've gone accustomed to.
Well, but there's a couple of reasons for that, right? One is that he only had 10 decisions last year with the shoulder injury, and he's obviously not, quote, right. I mean, a guy's 17-3. It'd be hard to call him not right, but you know what I'm saying? He's not right. The Pedro that we're accustomed to seeing, we're not seeing this year. Well, Spencer didn't like that call on the outside corner. Now he has words with Hunter Wendelstein.
Well, it's the high strike that they've asked, you know, the umpires to call. But if I'm saying Spencer, I was glad that it's a cut strike because I'm still ahead in the count. It's 3-1 count. Well, not if you're not ahead anymore. But see, it's back to the point. I mean, even 3-1, he throws him a changeup. And not that he used to throw the 3-1 fastball down the middle, but he would spot it in or out, up or down. Now, you know, he's going to the changeup.
Cheating in its Garcia-Parra a little bit now back to his position, and Spencer skies the full count pitch. Uh-oh, here's Ray Sanchez. He makes the catch. He makes the catch.
You're putting bad luck on the guy.
No, he's a good fielder. You know that, but there's some bad karma here tonight.
Yeah, you're right.
So Spencer is gone after being ahead in the count 3-0, 1 out.
One other point that I want to make that Peter Pasquarelli and I were talking about, he said, you know, the Yankees are really a little more athletic than the Boston Red Sox. You know, they'll steal a base here, they can manufacture and do whatever. The Red Sox kind of beat you up or they don't get the job done. And that's interesting too. And that really comes into focus down the stretch, you know, in the series or in the playoffs, and you know, whether you can manufacture runs or not. And that's something that I think, you know, you have to look at when you're trying to decide who's going to win, you know, in the playoffs or ultimately win the World Series.
This is the designated hitter, Rondell White, batting 9th in the order. Now, I mean, that's what kind of season he's had. He just has not delivered the way that he wants to when the Yankees were hoping. I mean, DH hitting 9th. Certainly, that's not why they invented the DH.
No, it isn't. No, it is definitely not.
Okay, let me go out on a limb and say that.
Well, he's finally thrown 2 straight fastballs. That's the first time in this ballgame I think he's thrown 2 really good fastballs. He threw a fastball inside corner for a strike, and then he goes upstairs out of the strike zone for a strike.
Ahead of White, 0-2. Second inning, 1-0 New York. Red Sox have already made 3 errors.
And Pedro keeping a close eye on Mondesi at second base, because that's one thing that, you know, Joe Torre allows his guys to do. If you can get a jump at second, go ahead and steal third, especially with 1 out.
Well, Monty's a one-time 30-30 man himself, twice I should say, with the Dodgers.
So that's Pedro as we have grown to know and love. I mean, he used the fastball inside a couple of times, then he goes outside to get strike 3. Watch outside corner after throwing 2 fastballs on the inside. He goes right out there on the outside corner.
The second baseman,
a little above knee, the knees on the outside.
Well, his control, I mean, that's one of the many things that's overlooked. All right, now, that was a picture-perfect pitch on the corner for a strike 3. But the way you registered the control as Soriano was up. Joe, the last 6 starts, 7 including tonight, all right? But going back the last 6 starts, 4 walks. Now, I know nobody's Kurt Schilling, that he's won more. What is he, won more games than he's walked guys?
Yes.
Right? 21 wins and or something like that.
21 and 20.
20, whatever it is. But I mean, 4 walks in the last 6 starts for Pedro. That's an overlooked part of Pedro's game. It's Soriano to go fishing there, as you pointed out early. He will hack, and so why not make him hack at a pitch 2 feet outside?
Yeah, Soriano is a free swinger, and so is Derek Jeter. I mean, this ball actually never starts in the strike zone, but Soriano made up his mind he was going out there. But guess what? You better not make a mistake against him, because he hits the ball hard and he drives it and he never actually cuts back.
Yeah, both innings have ended with a strikeout for Pedro Martinez. The crowd getting involved. 9 straight strikes to finish the second for Pedro. 1-0 New York.
Everyone, Matt Weiner back in our Sports Center in-game studio. An update on the labor situation. Though Bud Selig is present in New York tonight, ESPN.com's Jason Stark reports he will not sit in on the negotiations themselves. there in large part in a consultation role or to okay any significant changes on the management side of things. So Boomer and Joe, while the commissioner is on hand, he is not, however, in the middle of things at the bargaining table.
Well, thank you, Matt. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I don't know what that means yet.
I personally don't, think of it as good or bad either way. The good is that he is in New York because he's anticipating, hopefully, making a last-ditch effort to, get this done.
It's going to get done, Joe.
Yeah. Well, we're both confident. I mean,
well, then what else do they need?
Yeah.
Then it's done. It has to get done, okay?
Yeah, I think that's probably a better way of putting it. It has to get done. You just have to get it done.
Manny Ramirez has been getting it done. Just this past week, he hit his 300 and 301st home runs. Just a week before that, he got his 1,000th RBI. So in the milestone department, Manny has certainly been impressive. 14 straight plate appearances. He reached base earlier in the month of August. Bernie reached 13 straight. Manny 14 straight. The record, Ted Williams, 16 straight plate appearances on base, 1957. Manny fouls it off. And while we're on Ted in 1957, was that not one? That was when he was, what, 39 years old and he hit 388, won the batting title. Not bad, huh?
Well, that's not bad. I'm not up to date on the trivia, but at 388 is not bad anytime.
It's
whether
just
you're
frozen
39,
in my mind, Joe,
hey,
that comment.
Boomer, you can be 39 or 29. 388 is pretty good.
Yeah.
But he was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, he was, as I remember.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
So the count is 1-2 to Manny.
Man.
Oh, boy.
Got him looking for something.
Tell you what, Joe, you've seen it. Hey, look, it's only the second inning. He doesn't look like the guy that struggled the last 5, 6, 7 starts.
No, he doesn't. But I'm still concerned because he's still not pitching inside. He's not setting up the outside part of the plate. And once you go through a lineup, guys will start to make adjustments the second time through the lineup. And that's what could happen, because I looked at his statistics. In the last 29 innings, he's given up 49 hits. I mean, that's
not good.
That's not good.
Here's Brian Daubach. Brian with an error in the top half of this inning. And then, well, I say an errant pickoff throw, but it wasn't. It became one. Brian with the 16 homers, hitting with 262. In there for a strike from Messina.
Well, and one thing Messina's doing is it looks like he's getting them to guess or look for pitches, and he's freezing them with his fastball.
That's away.
And a lot of this, remember, this is not just about today. A lot of this with the hitter-batter confrontation goes back to other games that he's pitched, against the Boston Red Sox. Maybe he struck Manny Ramirez out with a curveball the last time they faced each other. So he was looking for it, and he got a fastball.
Well, he struck Daubach out, and already he has 3 strikeouts in the 5 batters he's faced. Thursday afternoon baseball. The Twins are going to the postseason. We know that. The Seattle Mariners are hopeful. At 1 o'clock Eastern, the Mariners at the Twins. Mariners are looking up all of a sudden, even in the wild card race at the Angels. But you know the way the Mariners, Angels, and A's will play each other mano-a-mano in the last month, assuming we're going to settle this thing. A lot to be answered out west. And the beneficiary of all that, of all of Seattle versus Oakland versus Anaheim, Joe, could be the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox played 18 of 21 games here, or will when they finish the Yankees series Wednesday, against teams of the 6 contending teams. After they finish with the Yankees next Wednesday, Joe, no one has a winning record left on their schedule. And that's that could really play into it. Play the Tampa Bays and the Baltimores and the Torontos, while the West teams are playing each other head to head. So Boston just needs to not get on a big losing streak. Posada makes the catch right near the rail. 18 of 22 pitches by Mussina have been strikes, and he's got a 1-0 lead through 2. Jiffy Lube Wednesday Night Baseball, one of the great rivalries in any sport. The Yankees and the Red Sox. Ever since the Babe went down the road to New York, so that the sale of Babe Ruth from the Red Sox to the Yankees could finance No No Nanette on Broadway. It was Oh No in Boston. Well chronicled. Let's go, Cheater! Babe meant to the Yankees, and what his departure has meant to the Red Sox. Well, the man on the mound, Pedro, said, I don't believe in the curse of the Bambino.
Well, it seems that Pedro's gotten loose. Maybe he wasn't as loose in the first inning that he wanted to be, because now he seems to be throwing a lot more fastballs. Yeah.
You saw, and I know it's an old story. I'm not trying to break any news here, but for those youngsters watching that 1918 flag you saw, yes, Babe Ruth pitched for the Boston Red Sox on that team. Won 100 games a pitcher, Joe. He was pretty good on the hill. And then he got into that hitting thing, and that was okay, too.
I kind of like the hitting.
That worked. That was okay.
Yeah.
So did he. Jeter swings and misses at Pedro. That had a little more giddy up on it, Joe.
Well, but the good thing, what he's done, the first time through the lineup, he was throwing a lot of changeups and curveballs. Now we go to second time, and I mean, he's been bringing it. He struck Soriano out with a couple of good fastballs. Now he throws Jeter 3 good fastballs. And that one's just right on by him. But again, that was set up because of the way he went through the lineup the first time with a lot of off-speed pitches.
Well, coming into the game, 212 strikeouts in 176 innings pitched. For his career, as we look at Jambi, coming into the game, almost 2,200 strikeouts in under 1,900 innings. And that's a starter. This isn't a reliever. He became the 57th man, Joe, in the history of the game to strike out 2,000 earlier this year. I mean, that starts to get to be pretty good coverage.
Yeah, I mean, he is as good a pitcher as you're ever going to see. I mean, you can go back as far as you want. I mean, he ranks with the best that's ever pitched in this game.
3 Cy Youngs, maybe a 4th this year. But Pedro, not worried about those. He only wants to be in the postseason.
He'll trade that one of those Cy Youngs for a World Series ring, I'm sure. He's got enough Cy Young awards.
Yep. And he'll get more. Jambi coming on. Damon makes the catch. He froze for just a moment because Jambi took a big cut, but certainly didn't get the big part of the bat on it. And they're 2 out.
That's one of those times where the hitter jams himself. It's a curveball, and normally Jambi pulls this ball, but see, it's a curveball, and he still jams himself. He was waiting a little bit too long to pull the trigger, and Damon's able to run it down.
So Bernie Williams up, reached on an error when Nomar dropped his low liner, and then Williams was able to beat the throw to first when Nomar scrambled for the ball. And Pedro in there for a strike. 18-game hitting streak on the line for Bernie Williams. See his average all the way up to 343. Remember, the first 2 months of the season, he was below 250.
Yeah, he struggled, out of the box, and he wasn't hitting with any power. He wasn't driving the ball.
He doesn't have huge power numbers, but I mean, 343's it's close to 500 the last few weeks. Here's a chopper, Dahlback. Joe, there were no errors that inning by the Red Sox. Well, they're all getting in the groove now. Pedro in the groove. They trail at 1-0. Bottom of the third, Chris Berman, Joe Morgan with you on Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Yankees, thanks to a couple of Red Sox errors in the first, pushed a run across against Pedro Martinez, and they lead 1-0 in the bottom of the third. 6 up, 6 down thus far for the Red Sox against Mike Mussina. Mussina in his career, a couple of time 19-game winner with Baltimore in 95 and 96, a 18-game winner with the Orioles in 99. Last year his first with the Yankees was 17 and 11. He has never had an ERA, well, not never, but not for quite a while, an ERA up near 5 like he has right now. We have to go back actually to 96. He was 4.81. But really in the last 8-9 years, it's been mid to lower 3s all the time, Joe. So it's a pretty big jump for him. Tonight he looks pretty darn in control.
Well, you would have figured that last year, his first year in Yankee Stadium, would be where he might struggle. You know, his first year with the new team as a free agent. But he pitched very well. He didn't get really the run support last year that he deserved because he pitched great, but he didn't win as many ball games as he should have. This year he's struggling with his earned run average, but he's still winning ball games, and that's the key. Nasty curveball right there. Baerga able to lay off of it.
Two and two the count to Carlos Baerga. He really has been a cheerleader. Just really a guy appreciating getting back in the bigs at any capacity. He has a pinch hitter who's done a heck of a job. This guy was one of the top, certainly infielders, if not players in the game, an all-star with Cleveland, and then the bottom really fell out for 5-6 years, and he's just, I think, so appreciative, Joe. He always was a happy player and a happy hitter right there, going the opposite way with authority.
Well, I mean, he is a good hitter. You mentioned he was battling Roberto Alomar to see who was the best second baseman in the American League for a long period of time there. 200 hits, 100 RBIs, 20 home runs, and that's just good hitting. He took Mussina's best pitch, that knuckle curve, and shoots it the other way.
So Trot Nixon up. Tries to drag up on Mussina, who a 5-time Gold Glove winner. Boy, was he over there like a cat, but it goes as the sacrifice. So good job done by both Nixon and Mussina. Now, the hometown. Do you know the hometown of Mike Mussina, Joe?
Somewhere near Pittsburgh, isn't it?
Well, Williamsport, Pennsylvania, the home of the Little League World Series. And isn't that interesting that it is before the game, the Worcester, Massachusetts team, and they changed the scoreboard. See, there you go. They get to put the score up. They lost in the American Finals to Louisville, and they were saluted and got a beautiful round of applause before the game, and every one of them got to throw out a first pitch. And they were all excited, getting autographs, all the players wide-eyed at the cage. And it reminds you how, these guys weren't worried about salary cap or luxury tax, Joe. They were just worried about throwing and catching and hitting. Good job of hitting here. Sanchez down the line. Mondesi makes the catch. He's got a good arm. Jeter cuts it off. Baerga into third. But it was just a nice thing to see. I met a lot of those kids before the game, and they probably were wowed with a throw like this, huh?
Well, they should be, because I'm excited when I see a throw like that. Baerga does the right thing. He goes back, tags up. It's such a long throw from down the right field line, but Baerga is still able to get to third base.
Just hats off to all the little leaguers. Louisville that wanted, Worcester was in there, whether you made it to Williamsport or whether you played Little League baseball. Thanks for enjoying the game, opening up our eyes into what we all should be thinking. It was great to see those guys. So here's Johnny Damon.
I'm going to go back to a point I was about to make before, and that is, they bunted with Trot Nixon, to move Baerga to second base, and Trot Nixon has 20 home runs. And there's a short porch here in right field and left field. I was a little surprised, I guess is my point, especially since you're the home team, and it's, you know, we're only in the 3rd inning.
We're figuring if they maybe get 2 runs, a little small ball, we got Pedro going. We don't need that many. I don't know.
Yeah, but you're bunting. You're only going to get 1.
I know. Well, one at a time.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Maybe he can bunt it out of the park.
You and Grady think alike.
I didn't say I agreed. So if it's only 3:01 down the line, maybe he bunt it out for a 2-run homer.
Yeah, I just don't agree with that early in the ball game. But I mean, look, he understands his team well, and like you say, he wants to get Pedro back in the ball game. I assume that's why he did it. But guy with 20 home runs, and he had 72 RBIs.
Johnny Damon walks, so the Red Sox runners at the corners trailing 1-0 with 2 out. And here's Shea Hillenbrand, who struck out against Messina in the 1st inning.
I know. Then this is a perfect situation to steal on, but Damon's, you know, had a bad knee, and I'm not sure if he's going to run. But this is the perfect time to take off and put a little pressure on the Yankees defense. Make them decide whether to throw through or whether to hold the ball.
Their first strike on the outside corner.
Well, Hillenbrand is looking down like he thought something was on that first pitch. As if he thought Damon was going to run, and maybe he thought it was a hit and run.
Looking at the back man, Damon. Johnny obviously can move. He's got 27 stolen bases this year. Goes away again, and Hillenbrand behind 0-2.
Now, again, I mean, if you're a right-handed hitter, I mean, he hasn't pitched one right-handed hitter inside the entire ball game. I mean, he struck Hillenbrand out on every pitch away last time. Manny Ramirez the same way, and the first 2 pitches in this at bat have been away.
Well, he went farther away, but 0-2, you got to protect it, right, Joe? So he fouls it off. I told you that Damon can steal, but he's not moving at normal rate because he's still feeling the effects of a knee injury, first in Tampa and then the finger injury. Of course, the finger doesn't prevent him from running, Joe, but
no, but his right knee hit the wall, and that's the one that's bothering him.
Can't run. I got a bad finger. You never tried that one, did you?
No, I didn't try that one.
Shane Spencer taking command in left, and the Red Sox strand a pair. So Messina still through 3 has his 1-0 lead intact. From Pedro Martinez to Robin Ventura here in the Yankee 4th. Ball 1. Robin, base hit to right, his first time up. He blooped one into short right field, and we thought Bernie Williams was going to come flying around. He was held up because Trot Nixon made a good play out there and ended up stranding it. So Red Sox, rather the Yankees with their run in the 1st inning. It's a fly ball to left. Manny Ramirez. Plenty of room, plenty of time. Ventura's gone. In the studio tonight is Matt Weiner. Matt?
Boomer, Indians, and the Tigers in Cleveland. Jim Thome, one of the few bright spots for the Tribe at this point in the season. Later, 40th of the season, becomes the first Indian to record 40 homers in 3 different seasons. It's now a 1-1 game.
There's a guy that's got a great relationship with the Red Sox manager, who was the Indians bench coach, Grady Little, Jim Thome. And you know, he wants to be part of the building. I mean, it's admirable. They're rebuilding in Cleveland. 40 home runs. There's a guy that loves coming to the park every day, Joe, Jim Thome.
Well, he's a throwback kind of guy.
Yes.
He's a slugger. I mean, that's exactly what he is.
Jorge Posada, he chronicled his struggles. 4 for 38 lifetime against Pedro and 26 strikeouts, including strikeout to end the first inning. So when you're a pitcher and you have that kind of mastery over a guy, you know, Pedro masters a lot of guys, Joe, but you just almost dare him to hit you. I mean,
well, what you say is make sure I don't walk him.
Right.
I mean, that's what you do. And the reason that a guy struggles against a particular pitcher other than Pedro, let's not use him as an example, is that you do not see the ball well out of his hand. You're not finding the ball quick enough. And what's happening with Posada is he's not finding the ball quick enough. And against a guy like Pedro, there's just no way you're going to get a hit. You have to be able to find the ball real quick after he releases it in order to be able to hit him. And that's what's happening. He just doesn't see the ball well out of Pedro's hand.
getting a piece of it a little bit.
He had a good swing there. That pitch was supposed to be down and away, but it got a lot of the plate and was up, and he had a good swing at it. You know, target's away. See where the ball is. He was late on it, but he had a good swing. And sometimes you watch a pitcher when he's winding up, a guy that throws a good changeup and has a good fastball. You can see him rush his delivery, rush his windup when he wants to throw the changeup, and he slows his motion down when he wants to throw the fastball. Pedro doesn't do that, and that's why it's so difficult to distinguish between the two pitches. A lot of guys, when they want you to think it's a fastball coming, they wind up real fast, and then they throw you the changeup. And they do the opposite when they're going to throw a fastball.
Well, did he go? No, and just what you said, Joe. You don't want to walk him. He never gets a hit off you. And so the first walk of the night is to a guy that Pedro owns, Jorge Posada.
Well, no doubt you don't want to walk him, but you also have to remember that Posada is capable of hurting him. You know, Posada has 20 home runs. I mean, he's capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark, so you do not want to make a mistake on him either, just because you've been able to get him out in the past.
So that'll bring up Eating Raul Mondesi, who is had a sharp single to left to lead off the second inning. Mondesi coming over July 1st in the trade, the quote trade with the Toronto Blue Jays. Whoa, and he whacks that just foul. Mondi was struggling in Toronto, hitting at just .224. Trade for minor league left-handed pitcher Scott Wiggins. Now, if he goes on to become Steve Carlton, then we have news. But until then, that was one that drew the ire of fans and a lot of folks. And, geez, that's all.
Well, but I think the problem was not so much what Toronto was getting back. They wanted to get rid of Mondesi's salary, and other teams could have had Mondesi. They just didn't or felt like they could not afford his salary.
Well, they're still paying some of it.
Yeah.
The Yankees didn't take it all.
But the other teams could have, actually done the same thing.
Dahlback, and actually coming over is Sanchez, who calls Dahlback off. Whoa! And then makes a basket catch. Well, at least he held on to it. That would have been totally around the horn then, right?
Oh, you're still trying to get him one, right?
No.
Yes, you are. He ended up making a nice catch, but and usually the second baseman will call the first baseman off because he has a better angle on the ball.
Beautiful night at Fenway. Temperatures in the 60s, and boy, last week was in the 90s all day long in New England, and at night in the upper 70s. But it's been that nice 70s. Touch it. You could feel it by walking around Boston today, as I did a little bit, Joe. They're the college kids back on campus. You see everyone around. It's such a great collegiate town and grad school town. Just young people, and you could sense a lot of them were just coming back. A lot of suitcases on rollers, a lot of backpacks, like a couple extra bags being carted around as I walked around where we're staying, which is not far from here at Copley Plaza. It's always alive. When you have have the Red Sox faithful, but then there are those that come back to become Red Sox fans or honorary New Englanders, you know, from September to May. And 0-2 remaining to Shane Spencer.
I know they're going to make some renovations here at Fenway Park, but this is still a beautiful ballpark. When you look out from this view that we have,
It's the best. It's right there. Not a lot of room in the seats, though, for us big boys, Joe. I think the seats have gotten smaller since when I used to sit in them in the 70s, okay? But 33, 34,000. I remember some of those series games that you were involved in that they actually... Yeah, there's my seat. Good. It's still open. 35. They squeezed in here. They don't quite go that high now. And it's just a... Well, it was built the week the Titanic sunk in 1912. That's when it opened. So it's seen some stories. Pesky's pole and view around here. Chopper. Hillenbrand. The second to Sanchez. Posada is out. And we head to bottom 4-1-0 New York. Bottom of the fourth, and a new fan born on this day. Although I know the young lady's a Yankees shirt on. At any rate, welcome Molly, and welcome college football. Ordinary. We're gonna have Syracuse and BYU going at 7:30 tomorrow night, and then on ESPN2 at 10 Eastern. Oh, those Aztecs of San Diego State against Fresno State, starting life without David Carr. So a doubleheader, one on each network tomorrow night. Syracuse, BYU, 7:30. San Diego State, Fresno State at 10 on ESPN2. And then, of course, we go into everything else on the weekend on Saturday. Chris and Coach Corso and Lee at ready to roll, and Kirk ready to go. At any rate, Garcia Parra quickly out, 5-3. Joe, first at bat, Manny Ramirez.
well, watch what happens. If they set up inside for the first pitch, but Messina doesn't pitch inside. He doesn't get the ball there. See, there's targets inside. See where the pitch is? Over the plate. Now he feels more comfortable throwing away, and he does that again away, and he gets Manny looking. And if you continue to pitch Manny one way, he will go out there and get it, and we'll see how he pitches in this at bat. I think every once in a while, even if you don't want to pitch inside, you have to come off the plate inside if you're Messina against the right-handed hitters.
Manny hitting at 341. He's missed 40 games this year, Joe, so he does not qualify right now for the batting title. But see, his 393 plate appearances. You need 502. I mean, if he keeps going, everything goes as scheduled, he should get to 502. If he had enough appearances, he's about a dozen short right now to be in the leaders in the paper. He'd be trailing Mike Sweeney by 7 points, 348 to 341. How about a guy of this power winning a batting title? If he does.
See what I mean? That's the way Manny is. You pitch him out there and he'll go the other way. Obviously he doesn't get a base hit, but he adjusts to whatever Messina was doing to him, and that's why he's hitting 343 starting tonight. Pitches away. Look at this outside. Look what he does with it. That's why he's such a good hitter. I mean, he adjusts to whatever you're doing, but the Yankees had him played perfectly, and it's just a line drive out.
Brian Daubach up.
And see, that shows you a guy like Manny. He hits a line drive and they catch it and he's smiling because he knows he can hit another one. The rest of the guys, they kind of hit a line drive and they catch it, they get mad because they're not sure they can hit another one. See, look at him. He's smiling. He said, oh, it's all right. I'll hit another one next time. Huh?
He's happy with his new hair, dude. I mean, he's changed it in the last month about 3 different times. He had the big half Oscar Gamble / Harpo Marx look, didn't he?
It was different.
This is different, too. This is slugged by Daubach. Back goes Bernie Williams to the track, but he makes the catch.
Wind blowing in.
Good wood by Daubach, but just a long out. Remains 1-0 New York.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube, brought to you by Nextel, how business gets done, and Raymond James. Listening to you like you're the only investor in the world.
Chris Berman, Joe Morgan with you here at Fenway Park as Pedro Martinez down 1-0 to the Yankees. Look at this. Maybe Peter should be in New York in these talks, huh?
Anything that would help.
Rondell White kind of waves at that one. 1-1. Yankees with 2 infield hit, a couple hits in the first inning and 2 Red Sox errors added up to the 1 run, and that's where we stand. Mussina leading Pedro, which of course is news since Pedro is 17-3, and a guy who since June 20th has gone 10-1. And since July 1st, Joe, you'll love this. As White fouls it up, 5-0 at Fenway since July 1st. ERA of 0.25. Hello.
Well, I mean, he did that actually on the strength of that long scoreless streak.
I mean, 0.25. I'm just thinking of what that number is.
Yeah, that's
it's minuscule. I mean, that's like the conversion rate of like the lira or something, isn't it? There he is. He and Derek Lowe, 34 wins combined. 17 each, away to Rondell White. It really is, and especially when he first came over in 98 and 99 here to Boston, which were both playoff years for the Red Sox. It was every time he pitched was an event in here. And then what he did in 98, the Red Sox had lost, I believe, let me do some quick addition, the last 2 of the 86 series, 4 in 88, 4 in 90. What are we up to? 10, 0-3 in 95 against Cleveland. So he won the first postseason game for Boston in 98 when they beat Cleveland in game 1 in 14 games. And then, of course, in the 99 playoffs, he was great. And it was a religious experience, very much like the days when number 23, Louis Tiant, in the 70s, pitched for Boston. He used to strut in and take about 10 minutes walking in from the bullpen. They said with that windup that if you were at Fenway and he pitched a complete game, at some point he would look every one of the paying customers in the eye during a windup, Joe.
Well, I'll tell you what, he was special, no doubt about that. I always love watching him as I do Pedro. I mean, they have charisma on the mound. I mean, they get your attention as soon as they walk across the chalk line.
With Tiant, well, that ball is slugged by Soriano, and that's going to short hop off the wall and over the head of Manning. And so Soriano went with a double. So the Yankees maybe a little business. Matt Weiner in the studio.
Hi, Boomer. Another big one for the Mariners tonight. They're half game back at the wild card, 3.5 back in the West. Brett Boone helping the cause, high, deep, gone, all those things, in fact. And it's 1-0 Seattle now in the top of the second.
It's hard for Brett to duplicate the year that he had last year, though they need to get him going. You see Seattle all of a sudden out of the playoff picture. Where do they begin right now? Although only a half game behind the Angels in the wild card, and the Red Sox 3.5 back. As Jeter comes up, Soriano at second. But back to Tiant, I mean, it really was a religious experience in here, Joe. I talked with Louis in the park, by the way. He does a lot of the Spanish broadcast, and he's in uniform for many of the Red Sox home games during the batting practice and working out in the outfield, and just enjoys being around the guys in the game. Soriano bluffs Pedro off the mound. I will say this, I talked with Dewey Evans, who is the batting coach, of course, of the Red Sox, and one of the fine right fielders of his or any era. And I said, what do you remember about those games that Tiant pitched here? And we'll let this pitch go to Jeter. And Dewey had a very quick answer. Jeter bunting the first time. We don't know yet. Well, you know what? You know who else knew Louis Tiant? Yep, I'm going to wait on that. Dewey said it was dead silent when he threw his last couple of warm-up pitches out there in the bullpen. He said you could actually hear the gate open, okay, when he walked out.
That's drama.
Well, You hear the gate open. He said you could hear the click of the gate closing. Oh, wait a minute. Who's this at first?
No, see, he's balking there, though. That's a balk. I had to politic a little bit to get it, but watch that front knee just balks. That front knee is, you can't do that.
Wait a minute. You and he jawing at each other there? Is that possible?
But it was friendly jawing in those days. He said something, and I yelled at him. I just said, well, I was gonna. I think I told myself I was gonna steal it anyway.
There you are. Yeah. That's friendly jawing. Huh?
No, we did. I love Louis Tiant. I really do. He's one of my favorite players that I've ever played against, and he's still one of my favorite people. I had a chance to talk to him before the game today too. I'm one of those guys that thinks that, you know, he's been overlooked a little bit as far as Hall of Fame statistics are concerned. I mean, he was pretty special during his time.
0-2 the count to Jeter. Soriano at second. And Pedro trying to get behind him to Sanchez, so they don't get him. Soriano, by the way, that double is his 47th. That ties the Yankee record for a right-handed batter, a guy that played back on Murderers Row, Bob Musial. Bob the Man Musial in 1927. Had 47, and so Soriano has tied the Yankee record for righty. The record for doubles is 53 by Don Mattingly.
Well, that's truthfully, I guess guys have to stay awake at night to come up with things like that.
Yeah,
I mean, the right-handed record, left-handed record. Do they have a midget record, a 5 foot?
Eddie Goodell has the record. Okay.
No, but I mean, the record for the team is 53.
53. I just, you know,
I know you
just pass it along.
Yeah.
Again, whoa, and that throw. Well, A ended up by accident being almost perfect, but B almost went into the outfield.
Well, the problem is that's what a base stealer does. He causes you to break your concentration. You're not giving a hitter 100% concentration if you're watching him at second base. And again, it is a close play, but Soriano's speed is causing Martinez a problem. I mean, he's been stepping off, taking a long time, etc.
Appeal down to first. No, says Jerry Lane.
And Pedro is upset because he thought he swung at that. Let's take a look at this. No, I mean, clearly there, he held the barrel of the bat back.
Well, he did two impressive things then, Joe. Not only did he hold the barrel back, did you see the gum go back in his mouth on the swing? That was a check gum. Look at it. Watch. Well, if we see it again, look. You can't see it from there.
Well, it's not a strike. It's off the plate outside. See, he's pointing down at the first base umpire, Jerry Lane, and he was very upset.
What? Hey, look, here's the gum, Joe. Look, check swing, check gum. That's very impressive. Never seen that before.
Well, I think what Pedro saw was his body go out there, but the barrel of the bat did not go out.
2-2 to Jeter. Soriano moving high and tight, throw down, and Soriano has stolen it.
And again, that's what speed will do. And you see Veritek's upset because he thought he got the ball in there. It was a very close play at third, but he probably got his hand in there. It was a perfect throw from Veritek. Now watch the throw. It's a perfect throw. And it's a good pitch to throw on because it gets Jeter down and out of his way. And it's a perfect throw. Look at that.
Wow.
Ooh,
wow.
I see why he was upset. He was out.
Bang. That's how quick that Ed Montague had to make the call.
Yeah, but he did get him. But, I mean, again, we had the benefit of slow motion replay. It was a perfect throw by Veritek. I mean, just a perfect throw right on the corner.
35 stolen bases. You saw that leads the American League. And look at this bounce. Veritek doesn't know where it is, and Soriano came a third of the way down the line before going back. I didn't think we'd get the catcher involved with the miscue. I mean, it was obviously the pitch, but we've had an error to the third baseman Hillenbrand, an error to the shortstop Garcia-Perez, and an error to the first baseman Tauback.
That was a good job by Veritek just to keep that ball reasonably around home plate. I mean, and they almost got, but this is a smart play by Soriano. He's going to look to see if he doesn't find it, he's going to come all the way home. But now he gets back. And he does a smart thing. He runs back on the inside part of the foul line. So if they throw down there, you're in his line of fire.
So Jeter aboard now. Runners first and third with one out, and Jason Giambi up. A big situation if they could get even the one run in. And Mussina has been pitching.
Well, the one problem you have if you're Pedro Martinez, you got him to hit the double play grounder in the first inning by getting him to go after a sinker down. Now how are you going to pitch him? And I thought he was going to go after him the way he did. That's a fastball in. He's going to try to get the ball in on him when he throws the fastball, and then try to get him to pop up a changeup.
Works him away, 2-0.
The problem is you don't get any rest in this lineup. If he doesn't get Giambi, then you got Bernie Williams, one of the hottest hitters, going up, and Ventura follows him. And that's why Soriano and Jeter are so important to this ball club. They set the table, and then the big guys come up and produce for them.
Rip, and had Lee Mazzilli dancing a little bit down there, the first base coach.
Well, the one thing, again, when he throws that fastball, it's going to be under the hands. And I think Jason Giambi is aware of that as well, because, you know, I'm sure he's gotten him out like that before in these situations. And that fastball was in under the hands, and he pulled it foul, which tells you that he was looking for it in there and he was out in front.
Two-1 on the way. In there on the corner. Giambi didn't like it, but that was a tough pitch. 2-2.
Well, he did two things there. I mean, he quickened his motion to the plate. It was, see, lad, he didn't even really stop. It was like almost a quick pitch, and Giambi wasn't ready. He quick pitched it.
Gets him on the heat on the outside corner.
That's a beautiful pitch there. Ball running away. Well, you know he's going to, as I said, he's going to try to get him out of fastball. There's the one underneath. Now it comes back underneath his hands to get strike two in there again. And then he gets it. That was supposed to be inside as well, but you see where it ended up. But you have to count yourself lucky to be able to get Giambi out twice with a runner at third base like that. But only a guy like Pedro is capable of doing that, because Giambi is just a great hitter.
Now with an 18-game hitting streak going, Bernie Williams, although it is not going tonight yet, reached on Garcia Perez error in the first, grounded out to Dahlbeck in the third to end it. This is a guy, Bernie, that had at least 2 hits in 10 consecutive games. You have to go back to one of your teammates, Tony Perez, in 1973, who had a streak of more consecutive multi-hit games, 11, more than 10. Huh? How about that?
Well, you told me something. I didn't even remember that.
And that, Joe, is for a right or left-hand hitter, okay?
Good. That's what I like.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, let's just for a hitter.
Yeah, for any hitter.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Doggy, you know.
But that was, I mean, I can't remember him getting that many hits in a row.
Multi-hit.
But see, that's the way Tony was. I mean, you know, he would just do his thing and go on about his business, and we'd win the ball game.
That's why it took him so long to get in the hall, right? Because he just did his thing.
That's exactly right.
Nice pitch on Bernie, and the count is 1-2. And the crowd, I think, will all get on their feet here.
Well, he gets away with one here because this is a high changeup. Now this pitch is up. It's a changeup. That's not a fastball. And Bernie just kind of misses it, and that's not the pitch where he wanted to throw that pitch.
You know what, Joe? I'm going to get on my feet too. There are 34,000 people here. Let's make it 34,000. Now they're into the game. Now it's the Yankees and the Red Sox. Pedro trying to end this with a strikeout. He would eventually strike out the side, even though there are runners in the corners, if he can do the job. He'll do it again.
Well, I have to tell you, that was Pedro at his best right there. He's trying to pitch his way out of this jam. He wanted to get that fastball in under the hands of Bernie Williams, and Bernie fought it off. He moved it out over the plate a little bit more than he wanted, but you can see the pattern that he said. He thinks that his fastball is his best pitch up in this situation with Bernie.
We'll let the crowd tell you if he gets it done here, Joe. Listen. That would be a no.
It's interesting that it looks like when he gets 2 strikes with his curveball, he's throwing it a little harder than normal. He's trying to really snap it off, and he's bounced a couple, which is okay without a runner at third base. You get the hitter to chase him every once in a while. But with a runner at third, you want to keep the ball out of the dirt. And Bernie Williams is pointing someplace out there like somebody's moving out behind Pedro.
Pedro steps off the rubber. Gives it an extra spin. It's set to go to work. This is why you came. 1-0 New York. Well, a little excitement here in the old yard as Pedro Martinez eventually struck out the side, striking out the red-hot Bernie Williams. The Yankees still lead 1-0. Boston looking for their first run against the Yankees in this game and a half. This 2-game series, 6-0 losers last night to David Wells, who went into the 9th. Before Carsey finished up that game.
And David Wells is throwing the ball exceptionally well. Joe Torre said it may have been the best game he's pitched.
He said it was.
Back. Yeah.
Said it was. Plus, he never wins here, Joe. Never. Not as a Yankee, not as an Oriole, not as a Jay. I mean, he never won here. So David was pretty happy. I saw him after the game last night. I was checking in late.
You mean they stay where we are?
They did last night.
Oh.
And David was checking out. Well, this was the scene, huh? Pretty good. To end the inning.
Well, it seems when he's needed a strikeout with Jason Giambi and also with Bernie Williams, he just goes with the high fastball. You can see right there, pretty proud of himself, and I don't blame him. When you get those 2 guys out in the clutch situation, you've done a good job.
7 Ks. For Pedro. You know, I started to tell a story, and then the game got really good, and then we showed you drawing with Louie, and I thought that was better. But Dewey Evans, the batting coach, and there's Louie back in the booth. Look, he's smart. He doesn't even know he's on.
That's him.
That's him, isn't it? Louie would warm up in the bullpen, and back then the bleachers, they were not assigned seats. You'd buy your seat at 5 o'clock, and you'd scramble to just watch him warm up out in the pen, and then there was quiet. Dewey said you could hear the gate swing open and close shut, and then 34,000 people got to their feet as Tiant took about an 8-minute walk. Okay, it took like 8 minutes, and it's not that far from the bullpen to come in, and he'd walk in the dirt, and he had that huge chaw in his mouth, you know, or half a cigar or whatever it was, and it was Louie. I mean, it was religious. And it was as if you were going to a heavyweight prize fight and the champ was coming into the ring. Meanwhile, Mussina has been a champion as he gets rid of Varitek right there. Speaking of memories of Tiant, this is a more recent memory that you had, Joe, because you were here last September 2nd, a Sunday night game.
And he was magnificent that night. Had all his pitches working, the curveball, the fastball, the changeup. It was unbelievable. I think he made the one mistake all night was the high fastball of Carl Everett that he didn't get high enough. And that was the only base hit he gave up that night.
Well, it was a perfect game for 8 2/3. And there's a base hit by Carlos Baerga. So Baerga has been on it tonight, Joe. He's 2 for 2. How about 4 pinch hits for him tonight because they put him in the lineup?
He has the only 2 hits the Red Sox have. But this is where Mussina was getting in trouble before. That's a high fastball getting the ball up. And Baerga just lines it back through the middle. Well, we questioned this last time. He won't do it this time because there's one out. But we questioned Trot Nixon, you know, bunting. And here's a guy that has 20 home runs and 72 runs batted in, and it was only the third inning at the time. And you're the home team. Beautiful curveball there from Messina.
Trying to sacrifice his only time up today. 1 run, 4 hits, no errors, Yankees. No runs, 2 hits, 3 errors, Boston. Swings through that one, and you've seen it very quickly ahead of Trout Nixon. 0-2. You know, maybe what Mike Mussina needed was to pitch at Fenway for whatever reason, because let's face it, this is not a tremendous pitcher's park. Over his career, most with Baltimore, 9-5 with a 3.17 ERA in Fenway, which is pretty impressive.
But I tell you what surprised me is he's only pitched 14 games here. Well, maybe
decisions. You're right. You would think it would be
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he was an everyday. You know, he pitched in a rotation all those years at Baltimore.
But he did very well here. And you know, for a lot of it, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. Mental. Maybe he feels good. You know, maybe he thinks there's a lot of room in that visitor's locker room, Joe. Jeter will take it himself and fire over to John B. Nixon is gone in the double play. And except for Baerga, Mussina's perfect again tonight.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Brought to you by Red Lobster. You love seafood? We love seafood. Let's meet at our place tonight and go overboard. Red Lobster, go overboard. And Zales, the Diamond Store.
A look at historic Fenway Park, and we get an old-fashioned, as they did back in those days, pitching duel between Mike Mussina and Pedro Martinez. Chris Berman, Joe Morgan, glad you could be with us here on Wednesday Night Baseball. Full house to watch the Red Sox and Yankees tee it up for the 16th time this season. The 10th and final time, barring October, here at Fenway. Robin Ventura leads it off here against Pedro in the 6th. Singled in the 1st, flew out to Manny Ramirez in the 4th. You know, I see Ventura out there, Joe, and you see John B. at first. And you see White or Spencer in left. And you see what's now Mondesi in right. And you realize that the Yankees this year changed 4 of their 8 position players. To center, Johnny Damon, and he grabs it. And there's one out. Day baseball tomorrow on ESPN 1 Eastern. Seattle at Minnesota with us Twins. I mean, every night is another defensive gem or two by Torrey Hunter, Mankiewicz, and the rest of that team. Twins, they're already looking at magic number out there in the Twin Cities. And they'll play the Seattle Mariners, who begin the day a half game behind Anaheim for the wild card race. How about their magic number being 14 on August 28th? What a storybook season for the Minnesota Twins. You'll see them tomorrow at 1. You'll also get any labor negotiating updates up to the minute during that game. Inside out against Posada, and the big news is he's walked and gotten a hit off Pedro. He was hitting what, about 100 going into the game.
But you can see there, even that he didn't see the ball as well. He just kind of fought that pitch off. But sometimes that's what you have to do when you struggle against a certain pitcher. I mean, watch this swing. It's not a good. So he just kind of fights it off. But you know what? It works. And he gets a base hit.
So here's Raul Mondesi. One of those changes in this Yankee line. Now, there's no question, you know, he's replacing a guy who is one of the great pros of this championship team, Paul O'Neill. And they got him over to really make them respect the right field defense anymore. But my point in pointing this all out, and we'll get to it here after this batter, Joe, is that, look, the Yankees, they have great pitching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They know to win, but that's a lot of changes for a team that, you know, here in late August has an 8-game lead and is vying for the best record in the majors.
Well, yeah, so definitely a lot of changes. I actually thought that they would struggle at the beginning because of it while they adjusted to all their new teammates. You know, when you lose a Paul O'Neill, who is a leader, you lose Scott Brocious, who would help you win world championship, championships, and you lose Tino Martinez, who was a big, he was a big contributor also. I mean, you're losing guys that contributed a lot, not just, were players, but they contributed a lot to their championships. I mean, that is just nasty right there.
Yep.
And it starts the curveball at him, and he flinches a little bit, breaks right over the plate. Now watch Mondesi's front shoulder. I mean, he flinches and he realizes, well, I couldn't have hit that anyway.
So 8 Ks now for Pedro.
But you know what? The reason the Yankees are still good is because they kept the nucleus together.
Yes. And
they just kind of added to that. I mean, they still have Jeter. They still have Bernie Williams. They still have Posada. They still have Soriano, who, was, pretty much a rookie last year. But, I mean, they still have the nucleus of up the middle. The 4 guys up the middle are the guys that played there last year.
And Soriano is a much better player than he was last year. No question about that.
Soriano is replacing 2 of those guys that left. Not just 1. He's replaced 2 guys. And this team has changed, though. I mean, it's now the Bronx Bombers again. I mean, they're a home run hitting ball club, whereas the last 4 of the 5 years they were not really home run hitters. They were a team that, would score runs by hitting and running, stealing bases, doing everything it took to win a ball game. Now they have a lot more power. I mean, they're a powerful ball club right now. And so that's the change that they made, but they didn't miss a beat.
And in talking with Joe Torre before the game, even though they are more free swinging, and they have the 190 homers, as you point out, to lead the majors.
Right.
He feels that, you know what, I don't manage as much. Let me qualify that. Sure, he manages just as much, but like they always used to move on 2 strikes because he knew they'd get bat on the ball. He says, deep down, I know they're going to get the bat on the ball when I ask him to do it.
Right, exactly.
Let me show you something else here, Joe. And here's the point I'm getting to, which you will find interesting. Through 130 games, okay, the Yankees since '96 have been a champ or almost champ every year. Only that '98 season when they won 114 did they have a better record at this point than right now. I told Joe and I told Jim that they're both a little surprised at that number with all the changes that they've made. That was the point I was getting to. Interesting. They were really surprised. Meanwhile, Pedro strikes out another man to end the inning, as Shane Spencer is gone with Posada running. Crowd into it. Can the Red Sox bats get into it? Jiffy Lube presents Wednesday Night Baseball, and we've got a dandy here at the Fens, at Friendly Fenway. Yankees running the first, and that's what Mike Mussina has to work with. And thus far, it's been good enough. Surrendering only a couple of base hits to Carlos Baerga. Only 56 pitches, Joe, through 5 innings for Mussina. And now he works 9-1-2 for Boston. Sanchez, Damon, and Hillenbrand. Everybody's excited, apparently. Wow.
Sanchez becomes a very, very important guy in this lineup, and especially this inning, because you have to get something done pretty soon. Because the longer Mussina goes, the more confidence he gains, because he had been struggling. But if you can get Sanchez on, then you have guys like Damon who can move him along if you want to, and then you have Hillenbrand and Garcia Parra. So it's very important for him to really milk this at bat and try to get something started for the Red Sox. Went after a bad pitch.
Curving toward the line, and Mondesi is there, and there's one out. Sanchez is gone, but never gone. Matt Winder, Matt.
Still here, Boomer. We'll get you caught up on the National League Central. The Padres in Houston tonight. That's Craig Biggio That'll find a hole in the left side. 2 runs going to come in as Houston takes the early 2-0 lead at the juice box. Meanwhile, the Astros trailing the Cardinals by 3.5 in the Central. They lead at 3-0. They get 4 innings out of Garrett Stevenson.
All right, Matt, thank you. Well, Jimmy Williams experiencing an opposite season from last year when he was in Boston. Bottom fell. Well, of course, he was axed and as they started to fall. This time, of course, the bottom fell out at the end of the year. Jimmy's Astros had a rough first couple of months, and they're coming on gangbusters. That'll be a big finish with them in the Cardinals, Joe.
Yes, it will be, but I still think
Damon to right, plenty of room for Mondesi, 2 out.
Well, I think the beginning of the season was very rough for them, and again, I mean, they're adjusting to a new manager. He's adjusting to them, learning how to use his personnel, and now the second half they played really well.
Number 29.
You know, the Cardinals, the Astros are 3.5 behind.
Reds have fallen below 500 now.
Yeah, and the Astros, of course, in the wild card races, they're closer to first place here than they are in the wild card race. But, you know, when you're talking about the National League, I mean, you have to look at the Atlanta Braves. You mentioned that Minnesota's magic number was 14. The Braves' magic number is 15.
And reaching out at that one is Hillenbrand. Talk about an economical inning for Mike Mussina. Red Sox not patient, not getting good hacks. Top of the 7th, the Yankees with a run in the first lead Pedro Martinez and the Red Sox 1-0. Rondell White has struck out twice. 2 of the 9 victims for Pedro Martinez. White hitting 9th, and Soriano and Jeter. A couple things to keep in mind here in a 1-run game. Important game, certainly, well, for both teams. Pedro, going into this inning, had thrown 107 pitches, Joe. The most he's pitched this season is 117. So, will he go into the 8th? I mean, that's one. Alan Embry, who was had a very good job, the lefty, since acquired in midseason or about a month ago from San Diego. He's up. So that's one question. Number 2, this is not news, but remember, Mariano Rivera is on the DL with the shoulder strain. Who knows when he'll be back? Maybe not for the rest of the regular season. So is it Carsey? Is it Stanton? I mean, it's not Mariano in a 1-run game. So these are just things to think about.
Well, I think they're very fortunate that they do have a Stanton and Carsey to close.
White walks after striking him out twice. Pedro loses him on base on balls. You think this is Pedro's last inning? Well,
yes, I do. Well, this is what he's done so far. I mean, he's used all of his pitches. He's been able to throw the fastball by the hitters upstairs. And when he went and got Bernie Williams and Giambi with a runner at third, that was just perfect pitching. And then he uses a breaking ball. He's used everything to record his 9 strikeouts so far in this ball game.
Here is Alfonso Soriano, 31 homers. Setting a Yankee record for that position. Joe Gordon, 1940, had 30. The game has changed, and slugging usually didn't come from second base, although the Yankees had more slugging than anyone else.
Well, I mean, not only has he hit 31 home runs, he's stolen over 30 bases. He's the first second baseman to ever, have 30 home runs plus 30 steals. And he may get 40-40. If you're Pedro, I really believe this is Pedro's last inning. And if he gets in any trouble, I think they would, come get him this inning. But they want him to try to get through the 7th inning if he can.
1-1 to Soriano. Well, I mean, he has no sacrifices this year, by the way.
Well, he squared around the first pitch, of course.
But
and I don't think the Yankees are going to bunt in this situation. I mean, because they may hit and run,
Yeah.
or do something along those lines. But I don't think Joe Torre is going to give you an out in this situation when they're ahead in the ball game. And especially with a guy that has 31 home runs.
We do have guys that can run. White can move. Soriano, of course, can fly. He looks even faster with those high socks, Joe, doesn't he? Just looks quicker.
Actually, that was a hit and run there, but Rondell White started late.
Well, for Boston, who is off tomorrow, and then they go into Cleveland for 3 before they play the Yankees for 3 more in New York. There they are in that bottom half of the wild card run. You know, they've been doing a slow bleed, really, is what's been happening to Boston. They, in all of August, have played very good teams. And Pedro, that one got away from him. Plunked the backside of Soriano. And now first and second.
Well, and this is what you fear, you know, that Pedro just maybe running out of gas. But I said it at the beginning of the show. The one thing the Yankees do is they make Pedro work. And you see this fastball runs in on him. I mean, he has to work hard to beat the Yankees. He's beaten them twice so far this year, but he's had to work so hard in each win. And also tonight in the first inning, they forced him to have to throw a lot of extra pitches, and you knew that was going to catch up with him sooner or later. And if you're Joe Torre, you sit there and you say, well, even though we only scored 1 run in the first inning, we got Pedro to throw a lot of pitches. And that's always important when you're facing a guy like Pedro, who is on a somewhat limited pitch count.
Well, that was very interesting. We didn't see it there. Grady Little out of the mound. It was a huddle, Joe. All 7 guys were there. The catcher, the infielder, the manager. And that's just what you suspect. They are already in on the grass at both sides, at first and third. Hillenbrand and Daubach. Jeter does square, pulls it back outside ball 1.
Well, the one thing you have to be careful of is the fact that Rondell White at second base can run, and Soriano at first. They run well. So you have a choice. You can bunt them over as they're doing, but you may hit and run, or you may even try straight steal.
Jeter swinging, and there it is. Can he get back at third in time? No.
Yeah, see, that's poor fundamentals again from the Red Sox. And you can just see, I mean, I'm sitting up here looking at this. I can see things happening. I'm really surprised that Soriano didn't go with him. And he didn't even get a great jump, but see, he's frozen in there. You know, somebody's got to let him know that the runner is breaking. But he did do a kind of a delayed steal, so he really was pretty smart play there by Rondell White.
Absolutely. So 1-0 Yankee lead. The first stolen base of the year for Rondell. He's looking for more, and Pedro keeping an eye on Soriano. Meanwhile, he's got Jeter to deal with 1 for 2 and a walk. Just a note on Jeter as he's at the plate. We haven't mentioned this yet tonight. 100 runs again he scored this year. That's 7 straight. And he's been in the majors 7 years. 100 runs all 7 times.
Quite an accomplishment.
Unreal. Here's a little chopper, and White is going to come home. And the Yankees lead it 2-0 on small ball. Now, Jeter doing small ball in the first inning. Jeter just getting a force out there, a fielder's choice. But this time the Yankees have themselves another run on an infield play.
Well, that's a chopper, and Hillenbrand didn't have any choice. He couldn't come home with it. He had to go to second base with it to get the lead runner. So, again, you know, the Yankees, that's what they do. And we're talking about athletes. They're more athletic, and they can steal these bases when they need to. We've seen them steal a couple of times tonight, and so it's helping them put pressure on Pedro.
Now here's Jambi. got quiet because they haven't seen. The Yankees don't have many runs, but the Red Sox haven't scored yet. I mean, they've shown no signs. And you're right, the fundamentals, either errors by commission or omission, have been disturbing for a contending team.
And a lot of it has to do with, you know, again, their defensive alignment in the first inning when they let Jeter bunt. And even there, you know, I give Rondell White credit, but as the third baseman, once the ball passes the amount you're supposed to automatically start back. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, when you're as an infielder, you're always taught once the ball gets to the plate and it's nothing's happening, you retreat to your position. Whether that's at first base, second base, on a double play, or wherever it is, you always retreat to your position. That keeps people from doing a, you know, pulling a delayed steal on you if you're already headed back to that position.
Little chopper, it's foul. Behind the plate, Veritek pounced on it, but very quickly Hunter Wendelstedt called it foul.
We're going to try to show you what Rondell White did. And this is a smart play. See, he doesn't break White away. Hillenbrand took a peek and he didn't see him. But see, now Hillenbrand just stands there. Now he starts back after someone yells at him. But you're automatically supposed to start back. But I mean, that's the, you have to give the Yankees credit. I mean, they took advantage of a situation right there. You have the third baseman in, you delay steal so he doesn't retreat White away, and everything works perfectly for you.
There goes Jeter. The throw by Verret. Well, doesn't matter because Giambi is aboard, and that'll be it for Pedro as Grady Little is up and out of the dugout. 126 pitches will be the most for Pedro Martinez this year. Remember, since he stands to lose for only the second time since June 20th. And a standing ovation for Martinez, but he leaves trailing 2-0. Well, we're back at Fenway, and Joe, the lack of fundamentals that we showed at third base, and you can be sure that that's what Garciaparra and Hillenbrand are talking about right now. And Nomar's doing all the talking. Meanwhile, Alan Embry is in, and here comes another running stolen base by Derek Jeter. Well, they have a nap in again. Embry didn't even keep an eye on him. That was the pitcher's fault that time. Veritek had no shot.
One thing to remember, it's always easier to steal third base off of a left-handed pitcher. And when a guy comes into the game, his first thought is to throw a strike. His first thought is not to deal with the guy at second base or any place else. His first thought is to throw a strike. And look, you know, true to Boston has not played a fundamentally sound game, but a lot of this has been forced on them by the Yankees. The Yankees are taking advantage of these situations.
So Alan Embry now turns, because he's lefty, turns Williams around, and it's 1-1. Joe, they've scored a run here on 2 walks, a hit pitch, a couple of stolen bases. There have been no hits. They got the run in the first with really 2 errors being the real reason.
Exactly. But again, you have to give the Yankees credit. I mean, the lack of communication.
And that ball is ripped by Bernie Williams. Back. Gone! And so are a third of the fans.
Well, we talked about the Yankees being the bombers, and they still can bomb the ball, as Bernie illustrates there. They can also do the little things that help you win the ball game. You know, they steal bases, they bunt, they do everything that it takes. It's a hanging breaking ball, and Bernie puts a charge into it. And, you know, for a couple of years there, Bernie was far more powerful from his right-hand side than he was his left-hand side.
Number 19.
And they always feared him more from the right-hand side for power.
So Bernie with home run number 17 on the year. His hitting streak now extends to 19 games. The lead extends to 5-0 with 4 runs home here in the 7th. A little fielder's choice. Jeter drove in 1, and a long bomb into the screen over the Muesta accounted for the next 3. And Embry has actually been the best in the bullpen. But he came in, Jeter stole, Now he's maybe not even now maybe he's thinking about the runner and not the batter on the next pitch, Joe. Possible.
Again, the Yankees force you into mistakes. And I mean, and that's just the way they play the game. They take advantage of your mistakes and they force you to make even more mistakes.
Well, they're doing the things that enable them to have, as we showed at this point of the season, the second best mark that they've had in this phenomenal run under Joe Torre starting in '96. Both things we pointed out, the hitting streak we mentioned at 19, and Pedro barring a comeback, a large comeback. The Red Sox had one of those on Monday against Anaheim with 4 in the ninth. But Pedro would fall to 17-4. And this is a team that wants to make a move up the ladder in the wild card. They will have gone around this turn, Joe, with a game. They lose the game low pitched on Sunday and a game that Pedro pitches on Wednesday.
Well, that's a problem for them, of course, because those are the two guys that they count on.
Strikeout Ventura, Joe.
I want to show you why the Yankees are so smart. Hillenbrand's in here. He can't get back. And you take advantage of that. A lot of teams would have just waited for Jeter to bunt him over. The Yankees don't do that. They go ahead and take advantage of the situation. And I've talked about Hillenbrand not getting back, but you know what? There's a lack of communication by the whole team. In that situation, you have to hold the runner that much closer, because you are vulnerable to the stolen base by the third baseman being in. So you have to hold the guy at second base very, very close. And even when I played, that was always a fear of mine when they had runners at first and second, is that guy would take off because the third baseman is in a little bit. And if the third baseman doesn't always get back, you're going to steal it every time. So, again, I think it's lack of communication by the Red Sox as a whole, rather than, just putting all the blame on Hillenbrand. Everyone on the team should have known that they would steal the base. Just like in the first inning, everyone should have known that Derek Jeter was going to bunt or hit the ball to the right side. He's not going to hit it down the third base line. So you have to get the guy in at third base. And it could have happened in the first inning because Hillenbrand had just made an error, to let the guy go to second base. So you have to help him out. So it's still a matter of communication for the team.
High chopper by Posada. Garcia-Pera across the drawback. Makes the stretch, and Posada's gone, and so are the Yankees, but not until serious damage done. A little stolen base by Rondell White enables him to score to fielder's choice, and then Bernie Williams' 3-run homer makes it 5-0 New York.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball, presented by Jiffy Lube. Jiffy Lube, the well-oiled machine. And in part by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. Gap. And Lamisil AT. There's no better way to cure athlete's foot.
Back at Fenway, 7th inning stretch over. No more Garcia-Pera. Almost takes the hit off of Mike Cubbage, his third base coach. But the Red Sox, they have some serious problems rattling around in that background against Mussina tonight and David Wells last night. In 2 games, Joe, 7 for 50, 140 if you average that out. The Red Sox against the Yankee pitching. And this this is as sharp an outing as you could have, period, for Mussina. He's only given up 2 hits to Baerga, but to have Wells and Mussina come in here and pitch like this, Joe.
But the thing about the Yankees is it could have been Clemens and Hernandez could do the same thing. And that's why they are what they are. Any 2 of their starters can come in and pitch back-to-back shutouts or shut you down. And that's why they're able to win in the postseason. They have quality starters that can shut down any team. No matter how much good a hitting team you have, they can shut you down. And that's why they've, won all the pennants. The championships recently. Andy Pettit is just as good. I just mentioned the other 2 because they were right-handed here in Fenway Park. But also you have to remember, when they get to the postseason, these horses can run. I mean, they know what to do. They know how to pitch in postseason, and that's why the Yankees are always built for the postseason rather than the regular season.
They're not built too badly for the regular season.
No, but they're more dominant in the postseason than they are. They've been able to just shut down teams who had big numbers in the past. You know, the Cleveland Indians, the Texas Rangers. Their pitchers have been able to shut those hitting teams down in the playoffs every year.
And Mussina just nails Garcia Perez, strikes him out. Matt Weiner to the studio.
Boomer, we've got pennant races aplenty, including the National League wild card race. Giants 2.5 back of the Dodgers, spending their evening at Coors once again, and that's Jeff Kent, 31st on the year, which brings up, I think you know Barry Bonds. That's his 39th. Back-to-back shots for the second straight night. Of course, Bonds had 3 last night. Giants off to a 2-0 lead.
Didn't even look like he got that, Joe. Of course, we know where the game is.
Yeah, but hey, he broke his bat in Florida and hit a home run, so he's strong.
39 homers now for Barry. Huh? 6:06. Well, there's Willie looking over his left-hand shoulder.
I think if you're Willie and the Babe, you have to think that he's gonna for sure catch you. That 755 is still out there somewhere. I mean, that's not that easily attainable.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
Barry wasn't sure about Babe either. I think he.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be easy, but I mean, I think that the Babe is in danger. We showed a shot of Andy Pettitte earlier, and I want to mention that Andy's going to miss his next start. You know, when I was talking to Joe Torre, he said he had a little tightness. You know, and he's not going to pitch this weekend in Toronto, but he will take his next turn after Messina next week back in New York. You know, we're talking about Barry, but, you know, Sammy Sosa's, you know, doing pretty good imitation of trying to catch the Babe and Mays and all those guys as well.
He's getting up to 500.
Yeah.
Well, the Red Sox need to catch a little lightning in a bottle here. Not only tonight, Joe, but we outlined the silver lining. They have 3 at Cleveland this weekend and 3 at New York, and then nobody on their schedule has a winning record. That being said, if you don't score any runs, it's going to be hard to win. Okay,
anywhere. But I mean, again, you know, it's the quality of pitching that you're facing.
Ramirez. Some room there. Ventura, Jeter. Look at this come back, and Ventura's there to make the play.
Well, Ventura thought he's gonna have to reach in. Now he reaches back out, and now he reaches back in. Nice play by Robin Ventura.
His sparkle, his gold gloves, the White Sox. It just seems to Boston fans. And here, the Bernie, let me give you this number first. Bernie Williams homer means the last 3 seasons in Fenway, Yankees 36 homers, Boston 6. Just seems that, you know, the hammer gets put down late in the year. It's almost as if they go into each season knowing the ending, Joe. It's like a Greek tragedy. I mean, it could be. They were 40-17 this year.
Right, at one point, but they were, what, at 34 and 39 since that time.
Yeah, they are.
I was here at the beginning of the season, and they looked great. I mean, we're speaking of the Red Sox. They look great. And I said, you know, they will be in the race all the way to the end, and they will be.
Yeah, they will.
But, I mean, I have to say, in watching the last 2 ball games here, yesterday and today, I am more impressed with the Yankees than I had been before. First of all, because I mean, they're smart. I mean, they do the things, little things on the diamond, whether it's defensively or offensively. They do the little things that make them win ball games. I mean, and they're not a great defensive ball club, but they make the plays that they're supposed to make.
Inside out, will this stay fair? No, it won't. That's the way the night is gone. So Dahlback will have to do it over again. But you're right on the Yankees. But yet they underplay. You know, I'm talking to the Zim and Joe Torre. Well, here, let's watch this first. In talking to them, they're not flipping at all. I mean, let's make it nice and clear. But they go, well, we'll be okay.
Yeah,
we'll be okay. Like, aren't you now?
Good point.
But they do it with a straight face. That's going to be all right.
Well, I mean, look at what happened. When Rivera went out, I thought, well, maybe this could be a problem for him for a while, because Rivera, you know, what he has been the most valuable player on the Yankees every year for the last 5 years or so, whatever. I mean, and with him out, I thought maybe they would have, you know, some problems. But guess what? Carsey and Stanton and Mendoza have all closed games.
Dahlbeck fires the bat, and Wendelstedt saying, don't show me up like that. Red Sox in trouble. It's 5-0 the Yankees over the Red Sox here in the top of the 8th inning. A little two-game set. Usually, yeah, okay, 2 games. What can you get, Joe Morgan, you know, out of a 2-game set? Yankees came in here 7 up on Boston. They're going to leave 9 up. It's over in the AL East, you would think. And Boston has some serious questions now because they just look lethargic.
Well, how are they going to rebound is the question. I mean, you know, they had one of the greatest wins in the history of the franchise a few days ago. Now they lose 2 games to the Yankees, and everyone here is going to be down on them, and some of them are going to be down on themselves. I mean, they're going to feel like we had a chance to make some hay here and we blew it. And again, you know, I don't think they should beat themselves to death. I think they have to pat the Yankees on the back and say, look, we have to be more like the Yankees. We have to make the plays. We have to do things under pressure. And I think that's the only way that they can grab a silver lining out of this cloud. It's going to be hanging over them when the Yankees leave town, unless they're able to bounce back and have another great victory. You know, from a 5-0 lead, they still have 6 outs left.
If there was any question for Boston that they were not eyeing the AL West teams other than the Yankees, they are now. I mean, that's really their door into the playoffs. Again, the AL West teams have a much tougher September than Grady Little's squad. There's a lot to be said for that. But you got to get together some sort of winning streak.
Well, the only thing I will say about that is, you know, the fact that you're chasing 2 teams in the American League West. Mm-hmm. And one day, one team's going to win even if the other one loses. So it's going to be a little more difficult than it may appear.
New pitcher,
they're going to be playing each other.
Sorry, Joe. New pitcher is Bobby Howry. Came over from the White Sox along with Embry from San Diego, and they were supposed to really change the fate of the bullpen. Howry's not really done that, although his numbers reflect his White Sox numbers as well. American League. He did get Mondesi. Now he pitches to Shane Spencer, who hits it high to left. Manny back. You heard that hit the scoreboard. Throwing it's cut off, and a double for Shane Spencer. Did it take out a number out there in the scoreboard? That was pretty good mic there. Well, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Commissioner of Baseball in New York right now at the talks. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any format. Counts. Description of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. I really hope we're going to read that on Friday night for our next broadcast. Going to be tuned in late. Joe and I, our gut feeling is, of course, we're not really on the inside of it. Nobody is. That they will be playing, although it's easier said than done.
Correct. But I'll be flying back to California tomorrow, and when I get off the plane, I'm expecting that they will have a deal done by then.
Well, there you go. And by the way, it's a lot of people's sentiment. I will say this, and to even those in the talks that maybe they've broken, they're watching our game, Joe. I don't know. I have been asked by just the people in the street. I was at a big football kickoff dinner last night for the Patriots, but opened up their new stadium. Well, they did preseason already. Gillette Stadium is a big kickoff. No, it's sports fans. There are football fans there, but walking around the street, I get it. It's not the first question on everyone's mind, whereas I remember in '94 and other years. What do you think? They're going to go for the 10 days leading into it? Do you find that even as late as today, Wednesday, 2 days before the strike,
No,
it's not the first question.
No, I understand your point, but it's always the first question for me because I'm only in baseball. You do football.
Well, no, but I mean, you're
and
just
you do
walking to
things,
the drugstore. I mean, at home.
No, I agree with you, but it's a concern, but you're right. It's not the first concern as it was before. And I agree with that 100%.
And that should be disturbing to both sides.
Right, and I think it's disturbing for another reason because football is about to start up. You know, baseball's lost some of its popularity to football and to some of the other sports. And, you know, football's about to start up. I mean, you're not going to just give it away, you know, give away your fans or whatever to football. And that's about, you know, what we're looking at if they do go on strike. But, you know, again, you know, both of us, you know, we're big boys and we've been around long enough to know that there are a lot of things involved and hopefully, you know, everyone will come to the conclusion that we can't let this happen and they get the job done. I mean, that's the simplest way I can put it because I believe that will happen.
Not that it is necessary for the country on 9/11 to have baseball, but there's a lot of explaining to do if there's no baseball on September 11th. It just is.
Well, I agree with that, you know, to a certain extent. I agree that, but I think we have a lot of explaining to do if there's no baseball on Saturday.
Correct.
Because
yes, correct.
because there's no reason for it. You know, in the past, you know, there were ideological differences and, you know, ideologically how can I say this?
There were just some differences.
Ideologically there were differences, and now I don't think there are any differences. I mean, you know, the differences now are just about percentages,
12,
and I think that's the problem. You know, if you have a different idea about something, you know, that's different, but when it's just about percentages, then I think they should be worked out, and they can be worked out. And again, we both think they will be.
Maybe if they are at the 11th hour, maybe in the future they'll get them done at the 6th hour, if you will. Right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, White hit by pitch, so Spencer second, White first, Howard in the jam, Soriano up. And that's horrendous. He gets away from Veritek. Everybody moves up now. It began in the first inning ugly, and it's looking ugly here in the 8th inning for Grady Little's Red Sox, who are, as you point out, since there it is.
Well, you know, you started when the first hitter. This becomes a two-base error. Then there was another error in the first inning. They'd already scored a run, and then a pickoff becomes an error. And a stolen base, when there was a lack of communication, opened the doors in the 7th inning. So it's just been, I think, more lack of communication than anything else on a couple of plays have really hurt the Red Sox.
Little chopper, infield in. That's a good play, Garcia Parra. Soriano out. He looked sharp on that one, Joe. Finally, naturally, after we ran that package.
Well, the infield is in. It's a chopper over the mound. And Garcia Parra does the right thing. He looks Spencer back to third. And then throws to first base.
Derek Jeter.
So here is Derek Jeter. Remember, I said he scored 100 runs or more his first 7 years in the bigs, including this year. He's only the third to ever do it.
Correct.
Earl Combs, Yankees, 25-32. Ted Williams, 39-49. Oh, by the way, I was busy flying in World War II when I came back and scored 100 runs. They both did it their first 8. But that's the company Jeter's in. Runs are, you know, that's different. They can talk about different. Ted, the number 9 up, retired number, and also in left field and into the grass, cut in, if you will. And that's a record run. I mean, I know that's more of an offensive game than in many of the eras, but we're not talking homers. Runs are a different story.
Runs are still runs. I mean,
right.
you can only score them one at a time.
Right.
So, I mean, you can, you know, RBIs, you can get 4 with one swing of the bat, things like that. Hundreds, you have to cross that plate 100 times.
He
And there's the guy.
Scored more than anybody else. How
He
about,
knew how to score a run.
How about Ricky? You know, we did our 25,000 Sports Center Sunday night. Ricky was already playing in the bigs before we had our first. I told him that 3 weeks ago. He loved it. His eyes lit up. Really? Said, you were in the bigs already, stealing bases before we were even on the air. Here's a little flare by Jeter. 1 runner's in. 2 runs are in. Spencer and White come across. And it's a full touchdown lead now.
Well, the one thing Jeter does, I mean, he fights the ball off probably better than anyone else in the game. I mean, you keep pitching him inside, and he just fights the ball off. And if you get it up, he fights it off, and it's a base hit. See how he just inside outs that ball? I mean, it becomes a little flare, but he does it so often because that's his swing. He fights the ball off, and he does a good job of it.
Joe, you talk again about little things. There's your classic, a 2-out, 2-run base hit. Jeter with 3 ribbies now in the game. Bernie Williams with his 3-run homer, obviously with 3.
And you have to look up because, and you're in trouble here because Jason Giambi doesn't have a base hit. I mean, and he's the guy that you just can't continue to get out with runners on base.
Joe, are you nah?
No, the wind's got that.
Almost. I was going to say you're the baseball swami.
No, but the wind's got it.
And Trot Nixon has it, but 2 more runs are in, heading to the bottom of the 8th. 7-0 Yankees. Yankees 7, the Red Sox nothing here in the bottom of the 8th. And when we're done, we'll kick you over to the best place, nightly, to just grab anything you want in baseball tonight. And that's why they call the show Baseball Tonight. And that'll come up right after we're done. Leading into Sports Center. Boy, did this change in a hurry, Joe.
Yes, it did. But they were always, the Red Sox were always walking a thin line. The Yankees were getting runners on with opportunities. The Red Sox were just the opposite. They were not getting anybody on base, and that relieves the Yankees. That takes all the pressure off the Yankees and off of Mike Mussina. Of course, he's pitching well.
1 booth over, Joe. That one was.
Well, you can have it. I don't catch foul balls in the booth.
Well, how about the rebound off the back wall?
As long as it's completely stopped, then I pick it up.
Could carom off Tim Scanlon's shoulder. He's behind us. Marty Quality airing off. Maybe his forehead. We can grab that, can't we? Okay, well. And did he go? And that's an alert play by Posada. And very quickly, Veritek is gone. We showed you some in 1975, and the ending is always the same. But Joe Morgan certainly has a memory. Tie game, 9th inning, Jim Burton and Fred Lynn coming on, and he makes the catch. Joe, we once again are going to change history. That's it. We're sick of that little bloop off Jim Burton. And Fred Lynn actually made the catch. You're out, all right?
Well,
no, but the curse, is it over?
Oh, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. That's where we're going. Wait a minute. I don't mind you letting him catch my ball, but not, look at it, 75 champions. No way.
Well, no, American League, but let me tell you.
Oh, that's the, okay.
But now, Joe, even though we know that Lynn caught the ball, all right, years later we can now reveal this.
Okay.
Any true Red Sox fan would tell you it was tied, and the Reds would have won in extra innings anyway. It just would have happened. Now that, of course, what a thrill that was to win the winning hit in the 9th inning of the World Series right here. I mean, you come here and you think of that. How could you not?
When I walk in here, truthfully, the first thing I think about is how great a place this is to play a game. And then I, obviously think back to the fact of, the first games I played here, and that was the World Series. I'd never played here before. So it was great. Someone asked me that today in an interview, and I said, I just remember how great the infield was. Great infield. It was the best infield I'd ever played on. And you could see the ball because of the green background. They had a great background, for hitting. And, of course, I remember, Dwight Evans catching the ball I hit in the 6th game. I could have been a hero in the 6th game. And then in the 7th game to be lucky enough to be the guy walking up there in the 7th with the game on the line. I mean, that's, very few people get that opportunity, let alone be able to get a base hit. I mean, it's just something that, you're very fortunate to be able to have that opportunity in your career. There are a lot of guys never even get to the World Series, let alone get a chance to be batting in the ninth inning in a tie ball game.
Well, look at Mussina continue. And this time he gets Baerga, who's the only guy that got to, boy, we're emptying the barrel here tonight. Look.
Well, this is the one that bothers me.
Now, was Dewey, did he know what he was doing in right field or what?
Yes, he did, because there was a hit and run. It wasn't just, Griffey was on first and he was taking off. It was hit and run. And tie game at that point. Then Carlton Fisk becomes a hero. He hits the foul pole, and everyone thinks they won the game, won the series, because he hits the foul pole.
Think of the Hall of Famers and the great players in that series. I mean, your team, obviously, with yourself and Johnny Bench and Doggy Perez and Pete.
Rose.
I mean, Hall of Fame, certainly caliber.
Sparky Anderson.
Dave
Concepcion should be.
Well, and then for Boston, Yastrzemski, obviously Hall of Fame. Carlton Fisk.
Yeah.
Dewey Evans and, Rice was hurt that series.
Yeah, Rice was hurt.
But, I mean, they're not in, but they were certainly outstanding. Tiant, outstanding.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff.
Very good stuff. That was, it was a great World Series.
How about Mussina, huh? He's pitched great. He fields great. The Yankees have been great. And the Red Sox are behind 7-0 and scratching their heads. Well, baseball tonight is next. They came from Nolans to see Noma, but they saw nothing if they're rooting for the Red Sox. The Yankees lead at 7-0. They won 6-0 last night. So 13-0. They lead in these two games. And Dustin Hermanson been on the DL on and off just about all year. Been a no-show. Not that he didn't want to be. And they're just trying to hope that he can pitch his way back into shape somehow. And let's see, he's only pitched to 3 games. And Bernie Williams, who really put the dagger in with this 3-run homer to take a 2-0 game to make it a 5-0 game in the 7th inning and extend his hitting streak to 19. Dustin Hermanson on. And they were looking at him as maybe the 3rd starter, 3rd, 4th starter. It just never, it was one thing after another. Arm and staph infection, and just is a non-person this year. Nobody wanted to have a better year for Boston than him, but essentially had no year. And there's another multi-hit game for Bernie Williams.
Well, he's swinging the bat well.
Told you his last time up in the 7th inning, Alan Embry came in to relieve Pedro, and there was no relief. That was gone halfway up the screen, over the muerta. And the Yankees will leave here with a 9-game lead in the AL East. And showing one of the oddest statistics. For the 3rd straight year, the final Yankee game at Fenway for the season, whenever it's come, they will have left Boston with a 9-game lead, essentially putting the dagger right in their arch rival each time.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. I mean, that's called closing the deal. And the Yankees have a way of doing that. And the interesting thing is, in the past few years, everyone has considered the Yankees maybe the best team in baseball. And, I think right now you have to look at the Arizona Diamondbacks and give them equal billing since they're other world champions. And, in the American League, you're going to have to beat the Yankees at some point to get to the World Series.
Brian Kenny, Dave Campbell, Timmy Kirkjian. Baseball tonight next. Boomer was outstanding last night, pitching into the 9th. Will we see Mussina go into the 9th, do you think?
I don't think so, but, I don't see anybody warming up, so you might.
Will we see this one go into the bullpen?
Well, the wind is blowing in from right field out there.
Ventura hit a long way. He's gone. Bernie back to first. Matt Weiner in the studio.
Boom, a terrific game in Pittsburgh tonight. 0-0 in the bottom of the 10th. Braves got scoreless effort from 9 from Greg Maddux, but it gets wasted here. Brian Giles brings in Rob Makoviak, and the Pirates win it in 10, 1-0.
team like that beating the Braves at any moment, that's a little victory. I mean, not a little. I mean, it's a big victory. And hey, look, they've had a long year for Lloyd.
Well, anytime you beat Maddox, you know you've accomplished something.
Pitch for Pittsburgh tonight. That's what we need to know. Of course, now we should know that. We've been busy.
I did know, but it wasn't like one of their top 5 guys, I don't think.
It was, well, no, see, now I'm looking. I get no help here. Okay, we're in trouble here. We're looking. Why can we not find it? This was Maddox. That's because it said Millwood. It was fog, I believe. At any rate, out of the fog at third is Hillenbrand. They don't get the double play. Sanchez tries to turn it. But Bernie is erased. Shot on the fielder's choice.
Well, nice play there. Nice play by Hillenbrand. He makes a diving stop and then makes a perfect throw to second base. And Sanchez tries to turn it. But hustling down the line is Posada, and he gets in there.
Mondesi swinging at the first offering from Hermanson. Center field is Damon. And that'll do it. The Red Sox trying to at least get a run off the Yankees in this 2 games. Bottom of the 9th, the Yankees lead the Red Sox 7-0. Chris Berman, Joe Morgan, and Mike Mussina is going to have a chance, Joe, to finish what he began. So Wells went into the 9th last night. Mike Mussina looks like, unless he gets cuffed around, it's going to go a complete game. And so for a guy who has really been struggling going in, Mussina has pitched a gem. And welcome those that have watched Atlanta and Pittsburgh. And welcome to Fenway Park, where a 1-0 pitcher's duel between Mike Mussina and Pedro Martinez has turned into a laugher. Thanks to the pitching of Mussina and the long ball of Bernie Williams, a 3-run homer, and a little ball. Little things that the Yankees just did correctly tonight. Leaping is Soriano, but he can't get it. And Ray Sanchez is aboard with only the 3rd hit of the night. Last back-to-back shutout at Fenway. Friends at Elias come up with this. September in 1943. Spud Chandler and Ernie Bonham. Joe, how'd you hit off Spud Chandler?
2 household names, right?
Well, Spud was.
Yeah, well, not in my household.
Well, Spud,
not
you never
in
had
California.
potatoes?
Yeah, not in California.
Joe, this will be the first time that we've seen it has pitched into the 9th all year. Well, he's gone 8. I mean, he could have gone into the 9th.
Yeah.
But if he records an out and goes at least 8 1/3, it would be the longest outing that he has recorded this year, and this is 27th start. He's only gone 8 2 times.
You know what's interesting about the Yankees and the fact that, in this run they've had, they were winning championships, but they never had anyone that finished up really high in the most valuable player award voting. They really didn't have anyone. I think this year they're going to have someone, in Soriano is going to finish, in the top, 5 or so. Giambi. They have 2 legitimate candidates, whereas in the past they really did not have anyone that was considered MVP quality at that time.
Jeter will get votes. They'll get votes. Damon 0 for 2 and a walk. Trying to at least get a little pride going, but look at the Yankees in Ventura making the play on Damon with Sanchez scurrying back.
Well, a nice play by Ventura as Damon goes the other way, but this has been the kind of night it's been for the Boston Red Sox. They couldn't make all the plays, but the Yankees are making every play necessary.
So now Shea Hillenbrand is up. Cena trying to finish it up. And that's fouled off. And, you know, Joe, I'm doing just a little reading here. Let me see here. It's the kind of stuff I like to read here. Oh, it's a children's book. Catherine Nixon, one of the Red Sox wives, who are all involved in this. This is starting next month. Fenway Park from A to Z children's book. The Red Sox Foundation, all for charity. So no matter where you live, the Boston Red Sox Foundation, they'll let you know how to possibly get a hold of this if you want. Kids growing up learning about a ballpark. It's been here 90 years. Some nice little drawings, good baseball instruction, and created by the Red Sox Wives organization, and we salute them for that. I always like to bone up on my reading, Joe. I mean, it's only a couple days left till school starts, and I haven't read my summer reading yet.
Sorry about that, Boomer.
No, it's all right.
But, well, I just wanted to tell you good news. I mean, I can't reveal all my sources, but things are happening on the positive side.
That you're allowed to excuse yourself to
of the labor issues. Things are happening.
And
you and I
we're the baseball swami.
Yeah, well, you're the swami. I'm just the assistant.
baseball
I'm the assistant.
swami.
I'm the assistant tonight. But I just think, things are happening, and that's what's good. That's why I was
That's
away.
Great. No, I was reading. I was doing my summer reading, Joe.
Okay.
School starts next week. You know. Now Mussina gets Hillenbrand. He's one away from his first complete game of the season.
And he drops down a little bit and throws that sidearm knuckle curve, and Hillenbrand becomes the 9th strikeout victim for Mussina tonight. I mean, he has been masterful with his variety of pitches and the location. And I mean, this is almost as good a game as he pitched last year when he had a perfect game going into the 9th inning with 2 outs. So he's pitched very, very well. Kept the ball down. I think that's the key. He was getting knocked around last few starts because he was getting the ball up.
It would be Mussina over Pedro, and since he's been a Yankee the last 2 years, he would be 2-2 against Pedro in 4 head-to-head matchups. Pretty darn impressive.
That's very impressive. I mean, anytime you can split games with Pedro, you're doing a great job.
If he goes the route, it also, Joe, in his career would be his 50th complete game. And it would be Mike's 180th career win. Would make him 180 and 99. So on a night when we thought that we'd see Pedro Martinez perhaps win number 18, he falls to 17-4. And it will be Mussina who goes to 16-7 in a, quote, struggling season. Garcia-Parra to third, Ventura across, and the Yankees have come in and bludgeoned their rivals, the Boston Red Sox. 6-0 yesterday, 7-0 tonight. They leave with Mussina beating Pedro, and they leave Boston with a 9-game lead over the AL East. Baseball tonight is coming up next with Brian and Soup and Timmy. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. The New York Yankees have come into Fenway, and they have lowered the boom on the Red Sox. Joe Morgan, enjoyed it as always.
Always my pleasure, Boomer.
Wednesday night baseball, we leave a light on for you.
All right.
For Joe Morgan and all of us here at Fenway, I'm Chris Berman. Thanks for watching.